How can anyone, whether they want to work in a language school or privately from their own laptop anywhere in the world, create a rewarding and impactful career teaching English as a second language, even if they are just starting out or have no teaching experience or ability? Hi, my name is Lynette Kim, and here on the TESOL Talk podcast, I aim to answer that very question.
In teaching circles for ESL and probably mainstream teaching as well, sometimes we have a situation where teachers talk about burnout. You know, they just feel drained. They feel like they're giving so much of themselves. They have to always be up and positive, and, you don't have that moment to just sort of sit quietly and sit still when you're working. And I understand this concept, and there have been times in my teaching career where I have felt a bit drained by the whole thing. Generally, it's study tour because they're just so high energy, and like you have up to 30 kids in a class to keep an eye on, and it's a big responsibility. But overall, burnout doesn't have to be a thing, and you can avoid it completely. And the ways to avoid burnout is really just to sit back and not feel that you have to entertain the class, because ESL teaching isn't about entertaining. It's about facilitating student-driven independent learning. So for you as a teacher, especially newbies, learning to know your material well, go into the class and hold space, not be afraid to stand up. You know your material, you know what you're going to be teaching, you know it's of value to the students, you know that they need a lot of interaction, listening, speaking, 80% student talk time. So you've got this in the bag. So instead of taking it all on your shoulders, have the students do the independent heavy lifting themselves, getting them to introduce tasks, having discussions, eliciting responses from your students and putting those up on the board, having students explain tasks, answer, peer and self-correct. All of these things will help you to sit back and facilitate learning, and this will help you avoid burnout. So when you're in a class, introduce topics well, introduce the theme well, engage the students and get them into pair and group work for maximum 80% communication student talk time. Then get the feedback from them after that's done. And that's where that peer and self-correction comes in. Don't answer everything. Don't feel that you have to be on show. You don't need to prove anything. You're the native speaker. They know you know. So ask students, oh, so-and-so said this. How should it have been said? What can we do? What is better? And do that peer correction and get the students all working as a group, facilitating the group or the classroom's learning. And this is where we talk about that transformational leadership in the ESL classroom as transformational teaching. And that's really what you've got to aim for. So you don't need to burn out, because you're not going into the classroom going, right, I've got to be on top. I've got to be high energy. I've got to get this going. And, students look a bit bored, so I'll perk up the class a bit with my voice or something, entertaining or interesting to say. No, that's not the case. If the learning's of value enough, that's not even needed. So just be aware of always focusing on how you can get students to interact, speak more, self-correct more, peer correct more, and how students learn which students have different strengths in different areas and weaknesses in others. Some are stronger at vocab, some are stronger at grammar, some are better at pronunciation, and call upon students in these areas when it's needed to explain, demonstrate, or peer correct. And stop taking the pressure off yourself all the time. Allow yourself to sit back. And it's like being the director of a movie. be. You're directing all the moving parts and keeping them all on track, but you don't have to be the star of the show. The students themselves are that, and that's what they should be doing because they're the learners. And in this way, you will completely avoid burnout because you're doing the right thing in class. You're directing the class, not starring in the class.